Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dopamine. My name is Robert, and I'm here today with a longtime friend. Notice I didn't say old friend,
No, thank
Samantha
you.
Elandary, from the Parkinson Voice Project. For those who don't know or haven't seen our previous chats, one of the fun things for me is our connection of starting around the same time and having a keystone person in our lives, and Marianne Sprinkle, who launched both of us in our paths. And I wonder if you could take us to the beginning of why Parkinson Voice Project started, and because even today you're what, about 25 years in, is that right?
20, I've been working on it. It'll be 26 years, but officially Parkinson Voice Project was founded December of 2005. So we just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
But like you said, that's 5 years of elbow grease before that.
You know,
So
a lot.
we'll talk about that too. But what I was getting to is the point that here you are into a very wonderfully successful company, and thank you for everything you're doing and providing. And yet, still in the Parkinson's community, the understanding of the importance of what you do isn't there, and that's why you are our community bridge partner of the month. So, take us to the beginning, if you would, please, the need you saw, and how this developed.
Well, I was working in a hospital in the late 90s, working with people with Parkinson's. My supervisor actually put me in charge of the speech program for Parkinson's at that point. And my patients were making such good progress. People with Parkinson's respond so well, just like they respond so well to physical therapy, they respond incredibly well to speech therapy. But what I found is that my patients had a hard time retaining the improvements that they made. So even though they would go in just a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, they could be understood better. They could order their food at a restaurant. They could talk on the phone without being hung up on. That would happen to a lot of people because someone didn't realize that anybody was talking on the other side. So in just 2 or 3 weeks, people were making incredible progress, but they really struggled to retain it. If they stopped doing speech exercises for even 3 days, they could start that their voice became raspy, the volume was softer, and their swallowing was compromised. So at
So,
that
why does
time,
swallowing matter so much, by the way? Because I mean,
oh my
foundationally,
goodness.
right?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that the same muscles we use for speaking are the muscles we use for swallowing. As we're working in speech therapy, of course, we're working on the volume and breath support and articulation, but these are all the same muscles that we use to chew our food with and to swallow with. Think about it, we only have one mouth, one tongue, our set of teeth. And so it's so important for people with Parkinson's, if they notice the slightest change in their speech, they should have a speech evaluation right away. Maybe they don't need therapy at that point, but it's always nice to get a baseline. But you never want to wait until the speech has become so difficult to understand and it starts to impact the swallowing.
And I want to, go back because you're doing a great job of the history, but I also want to highlight as you're talking about it that, in Parkinson's, we often talk about the unknowns and, every person being individual. What I think we can say, and if I'm saying this incorrectly, please correct me,
Mhm.
but I think we can say with a fair amount of authority is that almost everybody is going to have swallowing speech issues at some point. So it's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when. Is that
Speech
reasonable?
dis well, speech disorders impact 90%, so
Okay.
almost everybody. So 9 out of 10 people will struggle with their speech and their swallowing. Unfortunately, research shows that even though that high number of people with Parkinson's struggle with speech and swallowing, only 3 to 4% of people are engaging in speech therapy, which is terrible.
Oh, that's yeah,
Especially because it can be successfully treated. It's
right.
very easy. I don't know if I should say it's easy, but I think it's easy. Easy to treat, but not easy to maintain. So people with Parkinson's need a lot of home practice, a lot of encouragement. And that's the program that we developed at Parkinson Voice Project called the Speak Out Therapy Program. So the goal is not only to help someone regain their ability to speak and to swallow, but to help them retain it for the rest of their life. And it is possible, but requires daily home practice, a lot of encouragement. Family support is so important, but we've got a lot of resources available that anybody with Parkinson's around the world can access on our website to help them.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And by the way, to put some stakes in this too, swallowing issues are the number one cause of death for people with Parkinson's. Is that right? Asphyxiation?
Yes, aspiration pneumonia is the main cause of death. For Parkinson's, 70%. It accounts for 70% of the mortality rate, but it doesn't need to be that way. It
That's the important point.
really doesn't. We have a clinic in Texas where currently we have over 500 patients on our caseload, and we follow our patients all the way to the rest of their life. And when they pass away, it's not at all like it used to be when I first got started in this. People could live the last 5 years of their life not being able to speak clearly or to swallow safely. They were having to have feeding tubes. They were hospitalized multiple times with aspiration pneumonia. And that's just not happening to our patients. Our patients that toward the end of their life, if they become ill, maybe they struggle the last couple weeks or so, but it's nothing like before. So we know that if people with Parkinson's will exercise their speech and swallowing muscles and keep up with it, that's the hard part for everybody, not just with Parkinson's. It's hard for everybody to exercise regularly. And but we're here to help them. In fact, our motto at Parkinson Voice Project is we're in it with you for the long haul. So we want to help people not just for a month or two or a year or 5 years, but forever.
So it sounds like, I mean, and I know from people who do work with your program too, it feels this way too. You're building a family. You are an extended member of the Parkinson's community in a very family way. You guys aren't just there from a clinical sense. It is certainly clinical work you provide, but it's relationship based, right? I mean, the stuff you do in terms of getting to know the people who are involved, both the people with Parkinson's and the care partners, they become part of the family, yeah?
We have in our clinic, in our speech therapy clinic in Richardson, Texas, we have our values and they're listed outside every office. And one of them is family.
Yeah.
Yes, we get to know the families. And the wonderful thing that happened, not that the pandemic was wonderful, but the wonderful thing that happened because of it is that people became more comfortable with technology. And now, before the pandemic, somebody would have to physically come to our clinic to be treated, and family had to come. So if an adult child, let's say, wanted to come and observe some therapy, first they needed to live in town, then they might have to take a couple hours off of work, to come to the clinic and all of that. Now we have family and friends participating in therapy sessions from all over the world, and it's wonderful. So now a family member, they can just hop on the Zoom call and attend their parents' or grandparents' session for 30 minutes and then go back to work. We have people with Parkinson's who are still working full time, who might go to their car during their lunch break and they're able to do their speech therapy and their speech practice. We have created a Speak Out e-library. It's now on our website. It's a purple button at the top. It says e-library, and it has all of these speech therapy resources. And the neat thing is that patients can use it, family can use it, children. I have our adult children getting on Zoom calls in the evenings, practicing with their parents. There's all sorts of cognitive exercises and speech exercises for people with Parkinson's at all different levels. So there's some simple exercises like yes, no questions. So if somebody was really struggling with their speech, the family member could ask the question and they just answer yes or no, or they can answer in a complete sentence if that's the stage they're in. Oh, good. I'm so
There you
glad you.
go. And I see the
Well,
e-library right there.
yeah. Click on the e-library
You
and it
bet.
opens right up. No password, no login, nothing. And these are all, oh, we do ask one
That's
question.
fine.
So you're a
I am
family
family.
member.
Darren straight I am.
That pops up once. All right. And so the Speak Out booklet, the therapy booklet is there on the left, but the cards, the flashcards, look, let's go down a little bit. Let's
Mhm.
scroll. These are all flashcards. Keep
Yes.
going. Category cards, if you click on that, grandkids love to do this. So you can go full screen. I love it on the left. You see where it says full screen. You can also make it bigger if you need to, but if you scroll down, family members can get on a Zoom call together. They start naming trees. They start going back and forth with the
Let's
person
do
with
that.
Parkinson's.
You
Oh
ready?
no,
Come
skip.
on,
I
me
don't
and
know too
you.
much. Okay, go ahead. I'm not.
Oak,
Pecan,
poplar,
maple.
peach.
And then I can say switch and you go on to the next one. So you can see how family members,
Yeah.
even younger grandkids, would love to do this back and forth. And I encourage my patients to get on with their family and just work for 15 minutes. I say set a timer, do it for 15 minutes. What usually ends up happening, they practice for 15 minutes, but then they end up just talking and how was your day? And it's one of the good things that happened
Mhm.
after the pandemic. Before it wasn't possible. Everything was, my patients might have some flashcards, but it wasn't anything. Now they get on and we tried to make it so easy. Again, you saw how easy it was. No password, no login. Don't worry about it. Just open it up. And
Yeah.
I love that you can make it bigger and it's a fantastic resource. People with Parkinson's don't need a lot of therapy in
No,
terms of speech. And I would imagine it's the same for physical. They don't need a lot of therapy. They need a lot of practice.
that's right. Repetition.
They need to go to therapy to learn the exercises, be comfortable with the e-library, let's say, know how to use it. I bring the adult children into the therapy sessions, show them how to do it, watch them doing those categories back and forth. And they need to understand what it means to speak with intent, which is the premise of the Speak Out Therapy program. But once we do that, they really need more home practice. They
So let
don't
me
need a
jump.
whole lot of therapy.
Yeah, you said so many wonderful things. Something I want to hit on that I think is so big. It comes up in Boys of Summer Shortstop as well, the third film, is the multi-generational aspect. And when you brought up the grandkids playing, it is probably the number one thing people respond to in that film is my son, my dad's grandson, their relationship.
Yes.
It means so much to the grandparent, especially one who has something like Parkinson's going that feels maybe less than isolated in some
Mhm.
regard, to have a bridge. And just what I hope people saw just now and enjoyed, the simplicity of playing a game like that. That's something any kid and grandparent can play, required nothing but a Wi-Fi connected device and the easy access to it. And not only do you get the exercise, the repetition in there, but that it leads to, as you mentioned, further relationship. How are you? What's going on? And
Mhm.
that's just beautiful. So I wanted to compliment you on all of that, and just reiterate the both accessibility and the multi-generational aspect, the importance of that.
Well,
Um,
the program is meant to be structured. It's structured in a lot of ways, like when we did, the categories back and forth, but then it can go into and lead into other conversation.
mhm.
So if it's about breakfast foods or so, well, what did you have for breakfast today? And oh, I loved it when you used to make those, whatever,
Beignets.
blueberry pancakes
Yeah.
or something, or, there's so many different questions. I like that it's the different levels. In fact, the Speak Out Therapy program, we've changed it a little bit last year where it's level one, level two, level three. And so
Mm.
everybody starts at level one, where it's single words and short phrases. So again, if you were in level one, you would just answer yes, no. As you progress through the program, now you're working on sentence length. And so, yes, I do like blueberry pancakes, and so the responses get longer. And then level three is where we get into describing and telling jokes. And there's cards that say, would you rather? Those are a lot of fun to do with family and grandkids.
Yeah, the engaging, because you're what it is, it's similar to what we do, especially in the improv program.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a Trojan horse effect, right? They're getting the mechanism, the activity through gamification, through play,
Yes.
through relationship, right? Because the rote style exercises, whether it's at the gym or through a clinic for voice, that is going to drive people out eventually. I mean, same thing in a support group. People are like, oh God, are we going to talk about the same issues? People by nature need engagement. They need creativity. They need fun. And that happens in interactivity. When it's allowed to be playful, we know how to play. We need permission
Mhm.
to play. And that's what you're granting people is permission and structure. So again, kudos.
I think the challenge with Parkinson's is that it's not like you're going to have this for 6 weeks and have to do these
Mhm.
exercises. You have to
Right.
do it forever, which is
Yeah.
why I like to have the e-library, and we keep adding materials there. And I mean, with the e-library, it's very cost effective. I mean, we would never be able to afford to, ship all these note cards, flashcards to
Right.
everybody, but we can keep coming up with more and more ideas and throwing them into the e-library. It's hard to exercise every single day.
Oh, yeah.
As
But
you know, I know.
But you know what? It's not hard for people to do, and you're meeting them. It's not hard for them to get online. You're meeting people where
Mhm.
they are. My dad, who struggles with all kinds of technology, he's still on his tablet. That he can do. And, that's lovely. And so I want to go back to something you brought up earlier, which, to highlight the silver lining of COVID, as it were, because
Mhm.
as you mentioned, people having to come to your facility in Richardson. Okay,
Richardson,
okay.
yes.
I was
Dallas is
I was
across
like
the
Richardson,
street,
Carrollton. I
but
knew it was one of the two, but Richardson. Okay.
Richardson.
So Dallas area, that's very limiting, right? Is we've got this lovely thing, but here we are, a planted lighthouse that can only pitch so far. So you did a couple things, and I want you to expand on this. Number one, obviously, you leaned into and discovered, oh wow, this works online and people are here. That's great. You
Mhm.
also started, and I don't know when you got the confidence to know for sure, I need to train other people and your grant program, which I think is spectacular. Can you talk about those two elements of the growth of Parkinson Voice Project?
The name of our organization was originally Texas Voice Project for Parkinson Disease. By 2011, we realized that we could replicate our program. So when it started, it was all about helping people in Texas. By 2011, we realized, you know what? We think that we could train other speech pathologists to do what we're doing. So we started training speech pathologists in 2012. But again, at that time, it was all in-person workshops. It was who could afford to get the plane ticket and the hotel and come to our clinic for training. And now we have a 13-hour course for speech language pathologists. It's all online. And I will say this year, we're offering the certification training at no cost. So at our clinic, we have not charged for any of our speech therapy services for 18 years. We use the pay it forward funding model where we don't bill Medicare, we don't charge for the services, And then after patients go through the treatment, they are given the opportunity to pay it forward and make a donation to help the next person. We are doing the same thing with our continuing education. So speech language pathologists from anywhere in the world can become a certified speak out provider, take the 13-hour course, receive the continuing education credits for their license if they're part of the American Speech Language Hearing Association, and become trained. And we also have a course for graduate students, and we do not charge for that either. Last year, we trained over 4,300 graduate students. And I have to say that besides helping people with Parkinson's, I am most proud of training our future speech language pathologists. These graduate students, Parkinson's is expected to double by 2040. We need more professionals who understand Parkinson's and know how to treat it. And I'm really proud of us being able to train these graduate students. And grad students don't have any money.
No,
So
I
we're
do know that.
happy to
I got my
do
PhD and I
that.
still don't have any money.
Yeah, right.
But no, that's you bring up a great point. The accessibility, the historical side of it, because this is back to our one of the original things I said to you. We look at where we were in the late 90s, and for us, we came in 2001, Dad's diagnosis. We didn't
Mhm.
know anything about Parkinson's. We knew Muhammad Ali and Michael J. Fox. And
That's
for us,
about what there was at
that's
that
right.
time.
That's right. And it was our journey in 2004 where we went out, to see all the ballparks together cross country. We met the interconnected nature and saw what was happening. And you saw all
Good
the
to me.
excitement, but it was pre-exercise, right? That was such a revolution of 2008. And
Mhm.
I imagine for you, from 1999 onward, I remember the stories of you out of your house doing everything for those
Yes.
elbow grease years to fight for, hey, everybody, this matters. I
Mhm.
wonder what you can say about that because it's still to a degree, and you've known that I'm at,
Yeah.
and it was my work and my PhD where my professors told me similar. My committee chair said, "You're in a similar spot to." Where exercise was in 2008. People, I feel the tide is turning for psychosocially emotional. Like people are paying
Mhm.
attention, and that's where our interventions lie, but we don't have a medical backing, say, of like you had a speech therapy which began and you
Mhm.
could lean on that. What what was it that you think opened the door? Was it the results? Because I've seen you lean on that. The people just saw their lives getting better with engagement. What made Parkinson Voice Project, really become what it has?
Mhm. It used to be thought when I was a speech pathologist first in the 90s, used to be thought that because Parkinson's is progressive and degenerative, that people with Parkinson's can't improve.
Right.
And if they improve, they can't hold on to it. So why bother doing any speech therapy? And that what makes our Speak Out therapy program so different is the emphasis on retaining the results. And unfortunately, that's not something that Medicare usually pays for. They're not going to pay for, and that is what made it hard in the Medicare world, right? People with Parkinson's will get better and they can hold on to the results, but they need continuous encouragement, therapy, home exercise, and that's hard to get in the Medicare world. So what we're proving now is that if you stick with it, if you keep practicing, you can retain. And I'm excited. It hasn't been published yet, but there is a study with the universe. Actually, we had a study where we researched 40 patients going through speak out therapy, and we followed them 1 year later. What our initial plan was to do 2 years later and 5 years later to show the long-term effects.
Mhm.
Well, during year two, guess what hit? The
COVID.
pandemic, and
Yeah.
we couldn't bring the subjects back in. But the University of Utah, 7 years later, took our original data, went and reached out to all of the patients who were still alive, who were in the original study. And now they have submitted for publication the results of Speak Out Therapy 7 years later.
That's
And we're
awesome.
so excited. So when that comes out, we will definitely get it out. But people with Parkinson's can get better, but they need to keep working on it. It's hard to do it on your own. So you need some encouragement. But we didn't know that before. I think
Yeah.
people just thought progressive, degenerative, incurable. There's nothing you can really do about it. So why even bother?
So the
And
concept of neuroplasticity, right? Which again, around that same time, late 2000s, seemed like 2008-ish, like a bunch
Mhm,
of zeitgeist moment type things happened. The exercise,
mhm,
physical exercise with Dr. Alberts, the opening up of neuroplasticity, the idea that retention is there, that it is not the old idea of a closed system, right? Where brain
mhm.
cells die, you're dying, what's the use, right? I mean, and again, boy, just the language I heard you use there when that's used at a clinical level, and I mean, unfortunately it is, what is the effect on the human being? I mean, that hears those things, you know,
Mhm.
degenerative, incurable, I hear you
Right.
quite
Why
saying,
even try?
why
Why
even try?
even
That's
try?
what's between the lines, right? I mean, words like worthless not being said, but you could certainly understand how you'd feel that way,
Mhm.
right? As opposed to one of the things we haven't talked to about that I love that you do is the Sing Out program, because what I see in that is the celebration of the human spirit. It's not just the mechanism, it's the communal voice rising up to be greater than anybody thought. I mean, I'm sure you have tons of stories, but if you could tell me maybe one or two of a person who maybe had never been in a choir and is now on stage at your annual event and feels like they're part of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir because of the sound they produce and that they're a part of, how overwhelming that must feel to go from isolation quiet to voice of, hundreds that are making that room sing. Tell me
Well,
about that.
things that we have our music program consists of two programs. One, we have people with Parkinson's come to our clinic and they're in the choir. They're called the intentional singers. And we have 45, 50 people in the intentional singers right now. And then we offer for everybody, anybody around the world who wants to participate, a Parkinson's sing along every Thursday. And so they can participate in that. This is probably one of the not so good things that happened with the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we would put on this huge show
Yes.
every year called Sing Out. We had 110 people with Parkinson's up on stage, 5 levels of risers, 1,000 people in the crowd, and it was thrilling. We also had some celebrities come. They got to sing with Lee Greenwood, Kathy Rigby. It was a lot of fun. After the pandemic, things changed a lot. We did do a virtual choir for a couple years, and now we shifted to the sing along. The one thing I will mention, and it doesn't have to do with speech, but it is something I recognize the bad part of the pandemic. I don't think people with Parkinson's are doing enough physical therapy. I'm a speech pathologist. Online treatment, teletherapy works so well for speech therapy. I mean, it really does. It's really helping the care partners. It's one less appointment to have to, get into the car and go. And like I mentioned, with the kids being able to, adult children, family members, friends being able to participate.
Right.
So it works beautifully for speech therapy. But just what I noticed from our clinic, I don't think people have really gotten back into doing as much physical exercise as they were doing before the pandemic. And one of the challenges that I noticed, both doctors during the pandemic, some doctors retired. I mean, it was like life changing for a lot of people. A lot
Yeah.
of our physical therapy clinics, our physical therapists retired, they closed their clinics, they decided to do something else. And I always heard of this happening in other parts of the country. I didn't hear it as much in Dallas, but I see it now firsthand. People with Parkinson's can't do physical therapy or, the boxing classes and all that and get the same results doing any of that online. It helps
Really?
if you're not able to get out and do those
Yeah,
chair exercises and
that's
dance
right.
for PD. I think it's so helpful. But just like with our patients, so the model that we have created, it's one-on-one therapy. So that's to regain. Then you shift to the weekly speak out class. So you're with a group of 10 other people. So you work on speaking with intent. You do your daily home practice. And every 6 months, you go back one on one with a speech pathologist. At
Mm,
that point, they determine what's happening. Have you maintained it? Has it gotten better? Is it getting worse? And then you start the whole circle back over again. If it has declined at all, you go back to one-on-one speak out therapy. When you've reached your goals, you go back to the weekly group, the home practice, and you go. But with physical therapy, it should be the same thing.
yeah.
It should be one-on-one physical therapist with a person who knows about Parkinson's. Then you do your boxing classes. That's like our weekly, your boxing, your yoga, you exercise on your own, you go for walks, you do all that. Every 6 months, you go back to the physical therapist and see what's going on. Has it stayed the same? Is it better? Has it gotten worse? If it has declined, you go back into one-on-one. I don't think, at least that's what I see in our clinic, patients since the pandemic have not gotten back, I don't think, into that routine. They might be doing some of the boxing groups. I think they're very
Yeah.
motivating, but I don't know about the one-on-one therapy, which
I'm
people need.
I'm glad to hear you bring it up. You brought it up several times, which is, the lingering effects of COVID. I mean, because the human condition has us normalize whatever the current as forever, right? We forget history at our peril. And that was only 4 years ago when we were truly shut down, maybe even a piece of three. But the effects of that, and I, see them personally on a different lens, say with my kids, right, who missed a
Mhm.
year of school, and the socialization effects of that. You're right. So for the Parkinson's community, it is very interesting. Like you said, when things work well online, like you've mentioned, and for me, it was surprising me that improv worked online. Like,
Mhm.
oh my
I
gosh,
bet. Yeah.
but it does, and it allows me, like you, to get people from all over, which is great. However, there's nothing like that experience of being there in person. And that's whether it's therapy. I heard someone on a sports talk show today about, taking their kid to a first baseball game, same type of
Hmm.
thing. Like the Giants out here are having a terrible season, but he said the kid's having a time of his life. Why? Because he's in the park, right? So it's
Mhm.
that same human spirit of connection in
Mhm.
social space. And while we can replicate it, and again, this is an example. You and I are states apart and having this wonderful conversation, which is great. Were
Mhm.
we together and maybe sharing a meal, it would be elevated, right? Or
Mhm.
going to put on a presentation together or something. So yes, what you say is so important, and I don't know the answer to it. I am curious. Well, let's point to this. You're headed to WPC in a couple weeks. What are your
Yes.
goals going to this huge event that we're going to? Because did you go to Barcelona in 2023?
I didn't go. We were in Japan. One of our
Okay,
speech pathologists went, but we didn't go to Barcelona again after the pandemic.
that's what
Just
it was.
trying to get things settled and get back, like, what is the new normal? It
Yeah.
really took a while. I mean, here we are, 2026, and that happened March 2020, and it feels like, why is it taking so long? I feel like just right now that we're really, now we've got it. But it took a while, even though we did shift pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
our clinic
but
did, but
understanding, like you said, the long-term effects, right? That and I'm glad you continue to call that out because they have massive. So pivoting
mhm,
toward 2026 here in the couple weeks,
mhm.
we'll see you in
Yes.
Phoenix. What are your goals? What are your expectations? Because I was just on a call with Eli today, and I think she's saying just shy of 4,000 people, which
Wonderful.
huge, right? So what about you going there? What are your thoughts? What are your goals?
Well, Our clinical team is submitting 9 abstracts. So they've been, one of them, I like one of them. I love the name of one of them. Too old for teletherapy? No, no, you aren't. So we'll be featuring our program, Speak Out Therapy program, singing. We're doing a demo, so we'll be doing a Speak Out Therapy program in the renewal room and also a sing-along, singing with intent. We'll also be featuring our therapy materials in several different languages. I think we're bringing 10 or 11 different languages of the Speak Out Therapy materials where people can see them. We're going to a baseball game.
Are you going on Saturday night?
Yeah, we're going
I'm
to
your
a
grand
baseball game.
marshal. I don't know
Oh,
if you're staying at the
wonderful.
Sheraton, I'll be leading people over. If you're just showing
Oh,
up on
how
their way, but
fun.
there's over
Yeah, no.
200 of us going to that thing.
That's it's going to be a lot of fun, but I'm looking forward to engaging with people from all over the world. One thing that we're doing since the pandemic, we shut our clinic down on a Thursday, and on Friday we started hosting Speak Out home practice sessions online. So these are 20-minute practice. We were so worried at that point. Before we had to shut our clinic down, we had 14 speak out classes going on every week where people were coming in. And again, knowing that if people with Parkinson's go even 3 days without doing their exercises, their swallowing could become compromised. We were very worried. So we had to shut our clinic down on Thursday. On Friday, we went on Facebook Live and did some speak out exercises. We had 30 participants at that point.
Wow.
Now we have 3 to 5,000 people practicing with us every day. I thought we were doing those home practice sessions for a few weeks. We'll do this until the clinic opens, but now it's wonderful. People all over the world getting on, doing their practicing with us. If they can't do it live, they can do a recording. So one thing I'm looking forward to at WPC is meeting the people who have been practicing with us. So I will be there at our booth every lunchtime to just get to meet people in person who have been practicing with us online. And that's going to be all because they can see me when we practice, but I'm staring at a webcam. I don't
That's
get to
no
see
fair.
those people. No.
Yeah. Well, this once again brings forth that whole connection thing. Like you say, it's one thing to work and it's a life preserver and an expander in one regard. It's I think I've heard people use the term and I like it a lot. It's important to remain hybrid as much as possible, to not ditch what was working just because this new thing is working with
Hmm.
a COVID curtain in between. How can we integrate? How can we yes and, to use my terminology, right?
Hmm.
To bring these worlds together because we need both. It's a world that telehealth is extraordinarily important and underfunded and we need more attention, funding, and opportunity there because, like you said, the effect on people being able to stay home and do
Hmm.
what they do is great. And we need the opportunity to get together when it matters. And let me bring this back to, so are you done with those big sing out? That it was around Christmas time you do them. Are you not doing those at all
We're
anymore?
not doing the big ones right now. No.
You said right now.
No.
Let me inspire you though. Can you possibly do? Because I haven't gotten to go to one, and I so badly wanted to. I mean, is it even? I'm not holding you to it, but could it be on your
Yeah,
radar at some point?
it might be, but I'll going back to the physical therapy. I really, as a clinician, I feel that this is a huge problem. I am not
Yeah,
a physical therapist, but people are getting weaker because
yeah,
they're not exercising enough.
yeah.
And so when we used to go to the local high school and go up the stairs and go up 5 levels of risers and all of that. I think that people need to get back in again that shift from the pandemic, and it seems like why is it taking so long? But for us, there was a high turnover of movement disorder specialists, of physical therapists. Like I said, people reevaluated their life and said, what do I want to do now? And so it's all about now finding new resources and referral sources and getting people back into is not just the socialization, which is so important, but physically going to those gyms and working out and getting as strong. I honestly wouldn't feel comfortable doing that big show. I never thought I would ever say it, but right now, people are not doing enough physical therapy and physical exercise. We might be putting people at risk to do it until they get back into it. So
Yeah.
that's what we're helping them in. And you talked about the long-term relationship and becoming family. That's the neat part about our program because we have people who have been in our program for 18 years. Once they enter it, they're in it for life. So we're able to, when they come for their 6-month refreshers, we're able to now, we've always done it, but now we're being even more intentional about it. Are you doing physical therapy? Where are you going? Do you need some referrals? Let us help you with that. Yeah, but those sing outs, they were a lot of fun. Hillary, who works in our clinic, she goes, Samantha, that's a myth. She didn't work for us until after the pandemic.
No.
So she's like, I don't believe you. I said, look, I have videos, okay?
Oh, they're great. Your videos are great. It's
Yeah,
not a snuffleupagus. It's not a mythical creature. No,
we
you
had
really did it.
a
Yeah.
thousand people. We put on this huge event and they would sing 9 songs,
Mm.
which is, I mean,
A concert.
oh, it was a concert with a band. We still have our band. We have concerts, but what we do now, it's all in our clinic. So we have an education center. It's called the Clark and Bridget Lund Parkinson's Education Center. It will hold about 120 people in the audience. And then now our singing group is 45, 50 people. So what we do is we put on 3 concerts at the clinic a year and the intentional singers will be putting on a patriotic concert in honor of America's 250th
Oh, such a big deal.
anniversary. So we have the concerts, but we don't have that really big one.
Can you say the term? What is it? Sesquicentennial? I forget the
Oh
actual
gosh,
term for
don't
the
ask me. No,
250.
I can't say it.
It's a huge deal, and I'm so glad you're honoring that. I meant to ask you, have you guys ever done anything with karaoke? It would seem like you guys would be a natural fit for that.
At parties with our Parkinson voice
Okay,
advocates, they are volunteers, Speak Out graduates and their care partners who are volunteers. So we have parties and we do karaoke. Yes, we sing with intent. We do some every now and then on the home practice sessions, we'll bring up something. I do encourage people to use like Cara Fun.
yeah,
I think there's some free, I mean,
absolutely.
don't
YouTube has all
charge. You can
kinds of,
get
yeah,
and even if you wanted to have more access, it's not very much, and
yeah.
that is a great way to exercise the voice and fun with family, of course, to do
Oh,
that.
yeah, and again, you talk about like going from the cards or something. Put on and like I said, we find it on YouTube, but whatever, a karaoke type thing to where people can
Hmm.
sing, and that's a gathering around the fireplace type moment. Like, I mean, people just have the
Very
time of their
good.
lives, right? And they can sing
Mhm.
along at their
Yes.
comfort. And yeah, so again, I'm very glad to hear that you continue to invest in the community, the relationship, the family, it being one of your core values. I consider you family. We've known each other for a
Thank
while,
you.
and I'm so grateful to you when I was starting our nonprofit, how thoughtful and open and kind you were in, saying this is what we've done, and we've tried to mirror the best practices because we are very much grateful for who you are in the community and, want to just continue
I
our
appreciate
relationship.
that, and I appreciate all that you are doing.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I get to see you in Phoenix.
Yes.
Will you have a table as well? Where
We
can I see
will.
you? You will. Okay.
We have a double exhibit booth
Okay.
where,
I'll
like I
find you
said,
there.
we'll be featuring all the different languages that the Speak Out Therapy program is in. And we'll be there to answer questions for people and help direct them so they can find a certified Speak Out provider in their country.
Great.
So,
Okay, so I'll find you there for sure. I'm very sorry you won't be there Wednesday for the premier third base. However, like I was saying before we started, I'm gonna get to Dallas soon. And you know
it
what? We'll
sounds good.
do
Let us know. We want
we'll
you
do
to see
something
the
there.
clinic.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Thank you so much for your time, Samantha. It's great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
All right. See you soon.